Oh,
Hello, just waiting.
hello, hello. Hey, Mark. I need them to enable my video, so I can't start my video yet, but we can chat.
Hey,
You can hear me, right?
Kai. Yes, I can
Hey,
hear
hey,
you.
Mark. I'm invisible man right now, but try and get
Oh,
my
you don't
video
know,
up
but
here.
me too. Look at that.
Hey,
Mm,
fantastic.
all good, man.
That's someone I've
Don't
never
worry.
seen before. Oh, there we go. Okay, here I am. Hey,
Kai,
guys. Hey, long
welcome.
time no see.
Time to see.
Right on. Seems like we got tons of people in the chat or in the webinar here from Australia. It seems like, and all over the place here. So yeah,
Woo.
welcome everyone from wherever you are in the world. There's my handsome host Mark Diaz here to my left or right, wherever it is on your screen. And today he's going to be hosting an awesome webinar, a very useful webinar for kind of well, I guess you can talk more about it later. Recreating that anime video, that really cool anime video that you have. I think a lot of people have already seen it. Yeah, Mark's down in Mexico. I'm up here in Canada. So we're people from all over the place here today. And what I'm going to do first to start off is just kind of give you a little bit of the webinar rules, the webinar background stuff. Um, so as always, we are live streaming this right now on YouTube, but we're not going to be answering questions from the YouTube chat, just so you're aware. If you have any questions throughout this webinar, please put your questions in the Q&A panel, your Zoom Q&A panel there, and we'll answer those questions after the webinar demo here, and spend the last little bit of the webinar answering any questions you have about the process that Mark goes through, any real questions as well. We can answer those for you guys. As well, we are sending out a survey, as we always do at the end of today's webinar. Fill out that survey, get yourself a good discount for the content store. And we're always looking for feedback for like future topics and things that you guys want to learn about and stuff like that. Let's see, what else do we have to go through here? That's about it for now, but I'm going to show you a couple of web pages before we start, and then I'm going to hand over the reins to Mark, and he's going to do the live demo for us today. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. Whoops, share screen, there we go. And there we go. Okay, a couple pages here I'm going to show you guys before we get started. This is the webinar outline. I think you've already kind of seen this if you've signed up for today's webinar. This is the kind of the outline that Mark's going to go through here. Setting up a character, quick bone setup, and animating a really cool anime character, and he'll show you more about that later. But we all, as always, we want to encourage you to download the trial. If you're unfamiliar with Cartoon Animator 4, we encourage you to download the trial, which can be found from the main page. You go to products here, reillusion.com, and then Cartoon Animator, and that'll open up a new tab. And then you can just go to free trial over here. All right, so free trial. I'll put that link for you guys in the chat window here. We're not going to be answering questions from the chat window, just be aware of that. So you put your questions in the Q&A panel there. That's the download trial link for you guys. So yeah, we highly encourage you to check that out. Free 30-day trial. You can check out all the functionality that Mark's going to go through here in just a moment. And that's also the Cartoon Animator page. We do as well have a big competition going on right now, and you can find the link for that competition from the main Cartoon Animator page at the top. You'll see this banner with this little dude dancing here, and there's like $15,000 up for grabs, some cash and prizes. I highly encourage you to check this out. Even if you're a beginner, there's tons of categories that you can look into. I'll throw this link into the chat as well. And oops, someone's from Canada. Rick McCauley. I'm also from Canada, currently in Calgary right now. All right. Yeah. So the Cartoon Animator contest, there's the video, the introductory video you can check out there. Of course, free webinars, that's the one that's going on right now. And the free trial, the 2-month free trial actually that you're able to download with the duration of the competition here. You can check out more details as well, and all the awards and prizes. There also is, you know, the rules and stuff down here that you need to check out. I won't spend too much time on this because you can kind of go through on your own time and learn more about it. Now you can see, if you click on entries here at the top as well, you can see a lot of the work in progress. So WIP, work in progress. A lot of people are putting their work in progress stuff up here on the site, so you can kind of check out the competition and get some inspiration for your own project. And yeah, that's really, I mean, check it out on your own time and go through it. Lots of cool stuff. There are lots of amazing prizes to check out as well. And that's these already had up. And one final thing to go into as well, in the content store, we have a current promo going on with must-have CTA content. So this is all the cool, new, and awesome looking Cartoon Animator content you can check out. You can pick all of these packs up from the content store, and we'll throw this final link into the chat window as well. And looks like we're already throwing some links in there as well. Our assistants on the ball here, putting those links up right away. All right, I believe that's all I really need to go through in terms of preface here for Mark's awesome upcoming demo here. So yeah, just make sure to put all those questions in the Q&A window, and we'll get to those at the end of the webinar. So I guess I can hand over the reins to you, Mark, and we can get started.
Alrighty.
By the way, what's with the new background? You're not in the studio today.
No, right now I'm not in the studio. I'm in a hotel. I'm in Puerto Peñasco.
Oh, nice.
But for this presentation, what I did is I recorded the whole class, and then that's what I'm going to be streaming. But I'm gonna be here also live. So if at any point there's anything, or I can just pause the video, and I like to interact with you students, with all of you. I like to interact live. So if at any time you have any questions or anything, I'm right here. But it's just because I run everything way better from my computer. And in here it was going to be. So I was like, you know what? Let's just have everything prepared. So I've come prepared. And also I can just answer all the questions in like after the presentation. All right. So at any point you can type something on the chat, like what was that or anything, and I can pause the video and explain. All right, guys.
Cool.
Okay. Alrighty. So we can get started. Before we start, I would like everybody to type in the chat if you already have Cartoon Animator, or if you haven't tried it. Just type I have it, or I haven't tried it. I have it. Okay, Rick, I have it. Pipeline. Ooh, we have a couple of people who already have it. All right.
I have it.
Nice. That is great. The pro version, and actually all the techniques that you're gonna learn, work on the pro version. I love it. Okay, have not tried it. Damien, I recommend you download the free trial. Anyone who have not tried it, let's see. Most people have it, like Atika. I haven't tried it. I recommend, because later you're going to, in the presentation, I'm going to go through a tutorial, and I recommend you follow up. All right, so let's get it started. I'm gonna share my screen now. And yeah, thank you so much for putting the link there to try it. Alrighty, so I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna share my screen, share this video. You're gonna see the video where I'm in my studio, right? It's gonna stop sharing your screen. Kai, is that okay?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Awesome, and here it is, optimizing for video clip, sharing. Can you see? Yes?
Looks good to me, yeah.
Alrighty. Okay, so I'm going to play a little bit just to make sure that you can hear it and everything. Okay, so does it work?
Yep, sounds
Perfect.
Coming through fine, yeah.
Alrighty, so I'm right here, and when reading the chat, I have the chat in another screen. Okay, I'm gonna play it. Let's see the presentation.
Gonna learn is the 8 steps for motion comics. At the end of this webinar, you're gonna learn how we did the anime fight scene for this animation. Let me just play it in full screen.
さい。ごめんなさい。
それはよかったな。でも心配すんな。すぐにあいつに参加する。死ね。でも
Now, if you want to follow along, I do recommend strongly that you actually take not only passively listen to the whole presentation, yeah, but actually get yourself involved and follow up with me. That's what I strongly recommend. I have, this is a quote by Benjamin Franklin that I really love. He says, "Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I might remember. Involve me and I learn." That's what we want. I hope that you're not just spending your time. Instead, if you actually get engaged and download stuff, download project files and do this with me, you're not spending time, you're investing it, and you're gonna get something in return for that time. Now, if you want to relax and this is relaxing for you, I think you could be watching Netflix or something instead. So I appreciate that you consider my self-entertainment. But anyway, let's continue. I recommend you go right now to Revolution. I'm going to provide the link to download Cartoon Animator. Just check it out. The link is right there. And use that link to download the trial if you don't have it already. And start downloading the project files also. I'm providing the link also, right? So check it out and download the project files. And then the project files, you will see that they take like 2 and something gigabytes. So it's a lot. Depending on your connection, you might download it really fast, or it may take a couple of minutes or maybe a long time. In any case, I hope I'm going to be giving the presentation, and then the practical part, we're going to do it in the second half of this presentation. Okay, so I'm gonna start now with the first step, which is goal and inspiration. This is very important. Honestly, this is something that I really like to do, and I used to not include this as a step, but it's so important that it's something that I do and a lot of people don't do, and I thought, like, you know what, actually this is incredibly important. Not always can you count on motivation. Motivation, it's not something that you can count on. So if I'm not motivated, but I have this fantasy in my daily life, and I'm like, mind wandering, and then that would be cool, and then I never do it, I set a time to, okay, you know what, I'm gonna sit down and then put a specific goal and then get inspired. Not wait for inspiration to come to me, but me seeking that inspiration, right? It's more proactive and you have more control of your art. So what I'm doing here is, goal and inspiration is pick something super specific that I can almost touch. It feels like, yeah, I can touch it. I can see that in the near future. Very specific, and then I start getting inspired, right? So let me show you what I did for this. Again, maybe the project files are still downloading, so you can check it out later once it downloads. For now, I'm going to go to step 1, goal and inspiration. In here, this is something that I was thinking, and then at one point, this was the specific goal. Create a short animation with a story that can be told in under 1 minute. That's very important for me. I wanted to be able to tell it in 1 minute. So my animation time is not going to be super long. I get emails from people, like students, like, oh, I want to do a 2-hour movie, right? That's cool. That's great. But that's a stretch goal. So it's good to start small, right? And then the story has to have an epic confrontation between good and evil. That's topics that I like, right? Like Darth Vader versus Luke, or versus Obi-Wan in the new episodes, right? And then I like samurais, so it can be about a sword fight. Okay, I like it. You should go to something that you honestly like, something that you have liked maybe since you were a kid. In my case, I could have done this story a lot between good and evil. Maybe some guys suing some really corrupt politician, right? And then will they win and they have everything against them? Like, I could do that, but I'm not interested in in lawyers and all of that. Like, yeah. I like samurais. I have liked those since I was a kid. Here's the super specific goal. Create a high-end, this is very important because I could create something very simple that doesn't require much production, that looks amateur, that's okay, like, but in my case, I wanted to create a high-end, something that looks like really good, that could be in a video game for Blizzard or something like that. So something really high-end, and then 1 minute animation in the next 2 months, right? This is exciting for me. Like, oh, yes, I can see it. Once I put a timestamp on it, I can see it. Like, I can feel like I can almost touch it, right? And then this is what the anime, I like anime, so it should feel like anime, and the voice acting should be in Japanese, just like in anime. Now, if you like something else, like, oh, but I like Disney and I want to do a story about princess, I don't know, like some princess from Disney, you could pick that and do your best and try that, try it in that style in Disney, right? In my case, I like anime, so I wanted to look like anime, and even the voice acting and everything in Japanese, just like anime, right? Which is what you saw in the beginning. Now, with this, I have a very specific goal, and now let's get to work and start getting inspiration. So for inspiration, I went to several YouTube videos, but I'm just going to show you this one. And it's just this review by Toshi, the best 15 samurais that you should watch, right? I saw a couple of them. I saw this one actually, and it's pretty cool. And instead of having to see a lot of anime, I can just watch one of these videos. And oh, by the way, this movie, the Sword of the Stranger, really cool movie. I loved it. And it touches on those topics that I'm passionate about, like good versus evil, and then samurai. And then when you do your research, you discover more and more topics. In my case, it was like samurais are a lot about honor, about being the strongest, right? Sometimes a guy wants to be like the strongest, and so he's willing to go and kill everybody in a dojo just to prove that he's the strongest. And he either wants to be the strongest or be dead, right? And I like that for my character, for the villain, right? So now I want to show you a couple of things that I picked up from this scene. Look, you see the foot standing there, and in my story I did the same, that same shot. Look. Right? It came from this. And also, I noticed that I'm going to go frame by frame. There's like a lot of action, and you only see the foot, and then some sword, and then sing, then zoom out. Look at this zoom out. I also took that. Zoom out, and then we only see the aftermath, and then everybody's basically dead after that, right? So that is some very common, and I did the same in here. I'm gonna mute this, and look, in here I don't show the actual fight. It's just a lot of tension, and then sing, just like in anime, and then you just see the aftermath. And I thought, yeah, of course, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but this is kind of what I started imagining. Like only like tension, 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 xing, bah, and then the aftermath. Okay, so that's it for the first step. All of this was I wanted to extend a little bit in this step because I don't cover it much in a lot of my training, and I wanted to give it like a lot of importance. Okay, now we're going to move a little bit faster through all the other steps, but this one I think is very, very important. So now let's move on to step 2, creating the script. Okay, for the script, it's very, very simple. I'm going to just open it here, and because it's a short story, this is all I did, right? In general, when you want to create a story, I recommend you go through the 6 story questions. This comes from author Robert McKee. I recommend his book on storytelling, on script writing. And then the story, because it's very short, you can go through these files at your own time, and it's just what you saw, right? Like this character, and then the thug wants to attack her, and now when she fights, this is very important for me. When the good guy attacks, in one of those topics of good versus evil, when the good attacks, it's usually to defend itself from evil. So I didn't want to have the good guy go and challenge. No, instead, she's like mourning the death of her sensei, and then I'm gonna kill you, and then she reacts and defends herself. So when you see it, it's like, oh, that guy had it coming, right? It's not like, how dare she kill him, right? Now it's like he said, like, I killed him and now I'm gonna kill you and I'm gonna enjoy it. Or not exactly that, but that's the spirit. And all of that was, okay, yeah, that's the story. Now I have something to work on. So once I have that, now I need to visualize it. I need to see how is this going to look like. So that phase is the storyboard. For the storyboard, I use a software called Storyboarder, which is free. And in Storyboarder, I created these panels, right? That I sent to, for this one, I hired 2 artists. One is my friend Presha. She's an amazing artist. I love her work. And we work together in a lot of projects. And the other one is Marcelo from Argentina. Really cool guy. I recommend him. I found him on Fiverr, actually. This is the first time we worked together. And he did a terrific job. So Presha was to do the characters and Marcelo for the backgrounds. So let me show you the storyboard that I did for each. All of this is done really easily in Storyboarder, right? Which, by the way, now instead of Storyboarder, now I'm going a little bit more sophisticated because I learned how to use iClone, and you can do better stuff with it. But at the time, I didn't use iClone that much, so I use Storyboarder. Now, if you're thinking like, I have no budget, Storyboarder, it's great for storyboards because you can create really cool angles for the characters, right? So in this case, you can see that I create that scene, but also I'm putting some notes. Like this is like a top view. She's crying. This is the girl samurai, and this is the sensei, and it's dead, right? And then the bad guy, and then the bad guy is laughing, and then the evil laugh, and then the girl samurai, and that's the sensei. So I'm explaining to Presha what's happening on each one, and I'm kind of also hinting on the face that I kind of want to see, right? And then she stops crying and then pays attention to the enemy, right? All of this is direction for Presha. Now, this, of course, again, was created in Storyboarder. You can find free tutorials on how to use it. And then you go to Storyboard and then open it here. And this is a different type of notes. It's the same storyboard, but because this is for the background, for Marcelo, I did this like top view. It's just grass. And then in here we see trees, grass in the foreground. This was very important. I need it in a separate layer so I can move and have some parallax when I move the camera. And then again, grass foreground. I have to specify it, and then trees in the background. And so you can go through all of this in detail. And now after I have all of that, I start seeing some sketches from these guys. This is from Marcelo, right? And then like this is basically the same story, but now with how the background is going to look like. This is very important. If I was doing all of this myself alone, I would still do all of this, so I can start criticizing myself, not in a negative way, but am I liking it? Do I prefer this? And then go back to the anime references and then get more ideas, and I implement them in the storyboard. This is very exciting to do. I recommend you do it. All right, like do a little bit of storyboard and then go back to your inspiration. Then that's exciting. Actually, it was I believe in the middle of the storyboard when I came up with the shot for the food. I don't remember, but let's continue. So that's for that. And now once I had that,
I'm pausing really quick because I see 3 people raising their hands. And it all good you can type something on the chat. Willie, Chen, Chatse, Coleman, and Vincent. If not, I'm just going to keep playing. Okay, apparently. Okay, maybe you raised the hand by accident. I'm gonna keep playing.
I sent those to Presha, and now Presha started including those characters. So now you can see that everything is starting to get in shape, right? Okay, so that's for the storyboard. Once I have that, now I have a really good visualization of how everything is gonna start looking like. So after that, I just produce the audio. This is very exciting because the audio is what actually starts making everything come together. In here you put the timing, the pacing. And so if you go here to step 4, audio, you can see that I hired Yuri to do the voice for the character, right? And so this is the message that I sent to her. I just copy pasted. She's a great artist. And you can see this is exactly what I sent her on Fiverr. You can check this later in your own time. And once she did that, she delivered this audio. I'm gonna play it. Look, you're gonna hear the 3 versions that she sent me. Almost crying and all of this. All right, so let me play it.
先生、先生、ごめんなさい。先生、先生、ごめんなさい。先生、先生、ごめんなさい。
Really nice. So you can see that in the final version, I kind of mixed it up when I did the editing. Look.
先生、先生、ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
And that's it for the voice of Yuri. I recorded the voice for the villain, but I hired a Japanese actor through Fiverr, and he helped me with the lines. And then, of course, that's not all all there is for audio, because there's also music, there's also special effects, there's also sound design. I'm not gonna go into like in depth into producing all of that, but you can find stuff on like the topics to search on YouTube is sound design, music. Well, you can get, in this case, I'm a music composer, so I did the music for this one, but you can also get music from YouTube. We covered that in previous webinars, right? And also like effects, like sound effects for clothing, for stuff like that. In here, I didn't use much of that, but you can listen to the full animatic audio. Now, when you do the animatic, let me just go to the presentation, because what Mark, you just spoiled it. We have the step 4, which is the audio, and then the mystery step 5 is the animatic. So you can see that the general thing that we're doing, I'm putting it into steps, but basically is you have an idea, you start visualizing it, and you just start seeing like more visualization, I want to see how it's going to look like. And then just keep doing that until it's done, right? Any part like, oh, I need voices. I don't have voices. We need music. I don't have music. How do I know I should be putting music? Because I watched references. I saw like in anime, I saw when the camera has changed, like I didn't have all those ideas before starting with this. Just so you know, I watched references and then, I can get a special effect for, right? And so it was thanks to the references that I was able to create this. And so the animatic is just another process of visualization, right? It's just to get the feel of how the end result is gonna feel like. And so for the animatic, plain and simple, you just take the storyboard and you just put it together with the audio, right? I'm gonna play a little bit.
先生、ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
Okay, so that's basically it. Now, by the time I was doing this, the animation was not done, of course. I started to get the feel of it, like, yes, I'm liking it. And the cool thing is that every day that I'm going to start working on this project, all I do is just watch this animatic and I get so excited and I start working on it. So that's the step 5. Step 5 basically is a slideshow. You just put the audio, just bring the audio and create a slideshow with the storyboard. That's it. Nothing else. Just audio, slideshow, in sync with the dialogue, etc. Right? And then the next step is production. So production is the one that takes the most time, okay, in anything, right? If I go to production, you can see that this is the one that has the most steps involved. And just take into account, this is me not being involved as much because a lot of the heavy lifting was done by Marcelo and by Presha, right? And so these are the backgrounds that Marcelo first delivered, like some progress, like in black and white, and then the final backgrounds, right, that were used. And then for each panel, I took each of the panels and then I just drew on top of it and colored the characters. Now you can see that this character is a very different color. Like this is very like warm, right? And if you look at this one looks at night, right? That is because at the end I used color correction. I'm not going to go into that in here, but that's basically it. And then once I do that, I start putting together each panel with the background, right? So this way I visualize even more. So again, I'm polishing my vision of, okay, yeah, like this, like that. Really, look, that's the shot. And then after that, I took the final animatic, right, ready for production. And then finally, I start creating this. Like for each panel, this is all the elements that I'm going to need to animate it, right? That's one. This is another one. This one doesn't need anything, right? This is so super easy. And then this one, for example, I'm using one that is the reference, and then another layer is the background. Another layer is her in PNG with transparency, and then this is this shadow that appears. Let me just show you this shadow right here below, just to make it more dramatic, right? So you can see, let me go back, this little shadow, and then this is just for the lip sync. So this is important because this, for anime, the lip sync is very simple. The characters don't actually talk like the American animations, right? In anime, they just do this. Just watch them. They talk and then they just do that. They don't do, hey, you. They say, hey, you. How are you? right? So, something like that. So in here, instead of me going and knocking my head against the wall, like, I need to do all the rigging, a 360 head, and then all the mouths. No, I'm just different. Like, one drawing is like this. Another one, actually, let me show you. One drawing like that, another one like this, and another one like that. Very simple, that's it. And then I just animate that inside Cartoon Animator, right? I did that for all the scenes that required lip sync. And after I had all the assets, now I went to the software, the editing software. I did this on Premiere Pro. And I just took every single panel, like in the video is divided in parts, right, by each of the shots. So for every shot of the panel, all I did was select that audio, that section of the audio, and render it as a separate MP3. So you have access to all those files. And that's production. And then this is the next one. Once I have everything produced, now I can just animate. And so the animation is something that hopefully by now you downloaded all the project files and you installed Cartoon Animator 4. If not, do it right now before we start. And this is for the animation. We're gonna do it, so we're gonna do it in the next section. But now let me go to the last step, which is just putting all the scenes together. And this works like this. Let me just go to this folder, the step 7 of the animation, and you can see that each panel has its own Cartoon Animator file, right? Each one has their own Cartoon Animator file. Now, if I go to Final Animation, you can see that first I have each panel rendered, right? These are renders from Cartoon Animator, except for this one. This run sequence, I did it in Photoshop, frame by frame, and in After Effects. This is the most complicated, right? So I did a combination of Photoshop, frame by frame, and Cartoon Animator. And then in here, like every single one, all the other ones were done in Cartoon Animator. And you can see them in here. Let me go back in animation. You can see the final animated files, each one of those. And then once I have all of those, I just put them together. I take the file that I use for the animatic, basically, and substitute all the panels of the spreadsheet, right? All this. Actually, let me put it like this. I take all the panels from here and just take the video clips. Now, if you want to know this process of how you create the animatic and how you put the scenes together, I have a free course that you can access, and it's this one. If you go to the Animation 101, let me just go to the homepage right here, and then you go to all courses. You're gonna see at the very end there's this course on Movavi, where I use a video editing software for animation. In this case, I use Movavi, but honestly, you can follow up with this course using DaVinci Resolve, which is free, or Adobe Premiere Pro if you have it, or Final Cut Pro, or Sony Vegas. Whichever video editing software you like, you can use it and just follow the instructions that I show you in here. Of course, each software is going to be a little bit different, but that's it. Now, let's get those hands dirty and start doing something. Let's try doing a little animation. It's going to be very simple. If you want to follow along, just go to the project files right here and then select the folder that says exercise follow-up. In here, I have two versions. We're going to do, let's try to do both of them. And first I'm going to do this panel. Now, if you have a powerful computer, you can follow up with the 4K versions. If your computer is not that strong, then I recommend using these two. So let's get it started. For the first version, the first file is going to be this panel 6. For that, we're gonna start it from scratch. So for this one, I'm just going to start importing stuff. I'm going to go to the 4K in my case, and then this is going to be the part where this guy is talking. So I'm going to take all of these files into Cartoon Animator one by one, starting with the reference. This is how the whole thing should look like. I'm just gonna click and drag, and then this brings this dialog box. From all those options, I'm going to pick prop. Now, let me zoom out a little bit. And for those of you who are totally new, let me give you a quick tour of how to move around inside Cartoon Animator. If you press, if you have a mouse, right? A mouse that has both clicks. In Mac, sometimes you have a mouse with only one click. But if you have a mouse that has 2 clicks, then you can press Alt and then both clicks. And then you can zoom in and out. Like I'm pressing Alt and then both clicks and then clicking and dragging, right? And then if I only press Alt and then click, that is the left button, I can move the canvas around, right? So I'm gonna be doing that a lot. Now, what if you are on a trackpad and you don't have a mouse? Then you use the tools up here. You click on here to move the camera in and out, and then you select this other one to pan the camera up and down and to the sides. And that's it. When you want to return to the object selection, you just click on this one, the select tool right there. So with that, I'm going to be working faster using the shortcuts because I do have a mouse, and I'm gonna put it there. Now, with this in place, actually this one is better if we bring it as a background because it's the reference. I'm gonna click and drag and put it as a background, not as a prop, as a background. Yes, this is better because that way it's stuck into the screen. Okay, now I'm going to bring the background as a prop. There you go. Now I'm going to put the background in place. I'm not moving the background, I'm actually moving the camera by pressing Alt, right? And then let's bring it back a little bit, maybe only a little bit. Maybe if you pay attention to these numbers and you want my exact results, that is around minus 140, right? Now I'm going to bring the next one, which is the villain. I just click and drag into the scene, and then I bring him as a prop too, not as a G3 free bone. Why? Because for this specific scene, I don't need too much. I just need this guy to be talking. So I bring it as a prop. Now, once I have it as a prop, I am going to go to composer mode. For those of you totally new to Cartoon Animator, let me show you really quick. Right now, you can see below here, I'm on stage mode. That means this is where I can do the animation. But I want to go in and edit this prop because I'm going to add other frames. So I can do this. Let me just try to explain what's going through my head. So I can go between these drawings like this and animate that. So those inside Cartoon Animator, it's called, like in the video games, it's called sprites, right? So I can go back and forth. Now going back to Cartoon Animator, in here I do it like this. I have this character selected, and then I'm going to click on the top icon in the toolbar, your toolbar on the left of the screen. If you click there, you can see right now, instead of stage, now it says composer mode, right? So I'm going to select this guy, and then I'm going to add more sprites into him. How? By clicking on the sprite tool right here. So I click there, and this opens the sprites. And now I'm going to ignore this and ignore the one that says empty. Go to my Explorer. In Mac, it would be your Finder, File Finder. And then I'm going to just click and drag. I'm clicking on the first one and then hold Shift and then click on the last one. So I select that range of files and then click and drag into Cartoon Animator to this screen where it says the sprite editor. I drop it, I just release the click, and it loads. There you go. Now that's all I needed. I'm going to close, and again, right now we are in composer mode. This is not where the animation is happening. This is not the animation. This is just editing that prop. So if I want to go back, I can click on again where before we had the composer tool, the composer scene mode. In here now we have backstage. I click there and I go back to the stage mode. Look, right now it says composer mode. Boom. Now it says stage. I'm back into the animation. I can continue. Now, if I select this villain and then I activate this option of the sprites, I just click there, you can see that now I can start clicking between all of those. So it's pretty cool. Look at that. I can animate the lip sync now. Really cool. And we're gonna do that right now. Okay. Now, that's almost all we need, but I want this scene, like if I wanted, I could leave it like this. But I added some effects in here. So I'm going to click and drag this in here and have it as a prop. Now look at that. Look how this scene looks much differently like this. And when I go to Scene Manager and hide that, look, it adds like more dramatic lighting, right? I like doing that stuff. Okay, now we are almost finished, but right now everything is well too much together. Imagine like you have different layers, right? But everything is super close. And I want to have like a little bit of camera movement. And for that, I need to separate the elements. So when the camera moves, the background feels separated from the character. Look, this is what I mean. Look, I move the camera and it feels like it's a single image. But look at what happens if I take the background. Let me select the background in here in the scene manager where I have all the layers. And if you don't have this showing, just make sure you click below here where it says scene manager. Maybe you right now have the content manager. All you have to do is click on scene manager right here. Now, what if you don't see it anywhere? Well, I'm gonna close it. Let's pretend that, Mark, but I don't have anything. Don't worry. You can just move your mouse to where it says window menu. And in there we have it, scene manager. There you go. So now it's showing again. I click on it and in scene manager, I select the background and I'm gonna push it backwards. Right now, it's right here, -140. I'm going to put it even more behind, but it's like around 1,000 pixels. Now I'm going to make this bigger. And look, when I zoom in, now I'm starting to feel some depth, right? I want even more. So I'm going to push it back a little bit more, maybe to 2,000, and then make it bigger again to fit the screen. Okay, what's the screen? This is the screen. Look, there's like a little marquee, and that's like the screen that is going to be showing. To explain it to you a little bit more, I'm going to pull this back like that. Look at how the character and the background are behind, and we have like that background, but that's not gonna show. Look, I'm gonna click on current frame preview, and this is the render that I'm gonna see. You can see that there's a mistake in here. It looks super crappy, right? I don't want that. So instead, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have the camera in position in a way that this background is still covering all the space, right? So now look, if I zoom in, ooh, now it feels a little bit more separated. I'm gonna separate it even more, just for the kicks of it. How about 3,000? And then make it bigger. Now it feels very separated. Now this guy feels like he's closer to us than the trees. That is an effect called parallax. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it there. And the character, actually, let me select the villain and bring the character around here. I want the character to be a little bit outside the screen like that. And then bring the background. I'm gonna reposition it again because now it's the position changed a little bit. And there it is. Very nice. I like it. Now we are ready to do a little bit of animation. Okay, how do I import sound? Let's do that. I'm going to show you in here. If you click on show timeline on this icon right here in the timeline below, you just click there and it shows the timeline. Now, after I show the timeline, I want to see the project. Right now, I see a bunch of controls, right? So in here, I can just go to track list and then select project, right? That's one thing. And the other one is that I always recommend having object related track tool. So when I click there, it only shows in the timeline, it shows whatever I have selected in the workspace. So now that I'm showing the project, I'm going to go to sound effects. You can put basically 3 tracks of sound. I'm going to just use FX1, and then in there I'm going to import one of the audios. Let me go back to the project files right here. Let's get the audio. You can see that right now I go back. We're working on panel 6. So I'm gonna go back to project files and then production, audio clips, and then panel 6. This one, I just click and drag into the track of the sound inside Cartoon Animator. There you go. So this he's just saying, that's good. What, like the death of that sensei? He's saying that that's a good thing. Ugh, this guy is so evil. So I'm going to just play it and do a little bit of animation for the mouth. So it starts with the mouth open. Yeah. Right? So let me do that. I'm going to just select the villain in here in the scene manager. I select the villain, and then I'm going to click on sprites to start doing a little animation. I click on sprite, and then on frame 1, I'm going to open his mouth. That's what he says. So he says, and then he starts closing his mouth around here. And then he's going to say yo, yo. And then right here you just do this. A couple of frames and then like a little bit close. And then open. And now in here, I'm using the magic of editing to go through this in fast forward. It took me like 1 minute. There you go. There you go. That's it. And we're done. Right? Maybe close his mouth a little bit. Like this. Just a couple of frames like this. And now let me go back to show in the timeline right here. I want to show the clip for the audio. I click here and then project right there. And oh shoot, this should be at the very beginning. I screwed up. So I'm going to now select all of these and then bring them to the beginning. See if that does the trick. That works, yes. All right. And that's it. Now I want to end the animation right here. For that, in here in the timeline, I can just click there and that will tell Cartoon Animator, hey, this is the end. So I'm just gonna click there and that's it. You can see that that brought a little flag in there. It's very small. I'm gonna zoom in. Right there, do you see? That's the flag. It's a little flag, it's red, and that indicates the end of the animation. So I'm ready. Now I'm going to do a final little adjustment. I mean, the whole animation, the whole scene, it's okay. But now I want a little animation for the camera. For that, I'm just going to click on this link on the top, right? I mean, that button, and that says rec. You can see that now whatever movement I do is going to be recorded. Now, before you do that, let me disable it. It doesn't say any rec, right? Before you click, go to the very beginning. Boop, make sure you are on frame 1. Now, okay, yeah, I'm on frame 1. I go to rec, and now I'm going to position the camera. Oops, right there. So I'm going to pull back a little bit, and I want to select the background. So I make sure that the background is inside the screen at all times. And also this scene, this effect should be also positioned like a little bit bigger than the whole screen, like that. Very good. Now I want to make sure that this guy doesn't have his hand floating in here. Okay, now I think I solved this to put this character within limits. I think I prefer to put him a little bit out like that. And now I need to move this again, this layer of the effects. And now let me make sure. I'm going to just preview and check all the corners. I think everything looks fine. Yeah, very good. Now I'm ready to do a little animation. That's frame 1. I go to the end. For the end, I just click on in there in the timeline, end, and then I zoom in a little bit. And that's the whole animation. Look at that. Now we have that panel. All right, but I feel like this guy has to have his mouth open from the beginning. So let me select villain and then select sprites, and that sprite is going to be actually this one, the last sprite. Let's see. Actually, I feel like maybe the third one, this one. I like it. Very good. And that's it. Now I just save this. It's not saved, but I would save it. Let me press save. And I would save it like this, right? In my case, I'm going to have it like so. I'm just going to put number 2. And that's it. Now let's do another one. I'm going to, do we have time? If we still have time, we can do another one. And that is this one. Let me go back to this one. And for this, I saved you a little bit of time, exercise follow up. And then I'm going to follow this one. The panel 17, start. Let me click and drag into Cartoon Animator. And in here, you can see that I already have the whole animation. Right now, this is the camera recording, so I don't want to be moving this. Let me disable it. I'm going to start by disabling. Okay, why? Because if I'm in the middle and then, I start working and then do some adjustments in there and then go back to the beginning, that movement was recorded. Look, I'm going to play it. What was that? So let me undo. Let me open the timeline. And I'm trying to press Ctrl Z, but it's not working. So if that doesn't work, then I can just click project. I mean that corner, and then show the project. Make sure it's showing, and then click on camera and just delete that keyframe. I select it and then delete. So it's very dangerous. Don't have this on. Turn it off, and then I can start working. So in here you can see that there's already a little bit of animation of this character falling when he's defeated. Okay, so we're just going to add the samurai up here. Let's add her. I go to the project files and then 4K panel 17, and we're just going to use this one. I just click and drag into Cartoon Animator like this, and this time I'm going to bring it as a free bone actor. That automatically opens the character, as you can see, in composer mode. That's good, because now in here in composer mode, I can select this character, right? And then actually I already have the bone editor open, right? But in case for some reason you have it and it's not open with the bone editor, just have the character selected and then click on bones right here. Right, so I click there, but usually when you open it, it automatically opens the bone editor. Now, you just click on add bone, it has to be red, and then I'm going to start creating from the center of her pelvis, right here, and then in here, and then this will be the lower torso, and then this will connect to the neck, but also I'm gonna continue this to extend and be able to move the sword. I won't move it, but just in case I need it. Now that I'm done, I'm going to right click, or you can also press ESC. I just clicked right click. Now, right now, I cannot add more bones with the current tool, which is the bone selector, the transform bone. So with that, I'm going to select bone 1 and then click on add bone again, and then add another bone to, actually, let me disable it. Right now you can see that this is red. I'm going to click on it and then it disables, and instead I'm going to select this bone, bone 3, and then I'm going to select add bone and then extend one to the shoulder, and then the elbow, the wrist, and then the hand. All right, now right click. Now I select this pelvis, then add bone, and I'm gonna start extending to the leg, just like that, and then the knee, the leg, I mean the heels, and then the point of the foot, and then right click. Now I select this again, add bone, and then extend to here a little bit, and then to the knee, the heel, and then the toes. Right click. Now we are ready. That's it. So it's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. I close this. I go back. Now we are on stage mode. Let's bring this character. I'm going to bring her like around here. And is it too far? I think it's too far. It should be closer like this. Let me see. I'm going to pay attention to these numbers. 372. Then I select this guy. Okay, this guy, you can see that the position is 5. And so this girl should not be closer than that. It should be almost this. Actually 0. It should be 0, but I need to increase the size. Yeah, she should be in between this character, the bad guy, and that sword. Really nice. She's cutting. Right? So you can also see that the sword is not complete. It should be outside the camera like this. So I'm gonna put her in here, just like that. Now I go to the end. Right here, actually, I can just click to the end, and it goes to frame 63. And in there, I'm going to move her a little bit. That's all I did. I just clicked and drag. Now I go back and look. She's flying away. You see, pretty cool. Okay, perfect. Now let me go back. Now we're going to animate the bones. I'm going to press letter K, and that brings the key editor. That is the same, let me just show you, is the same as if you press this button right here, right there. So I click there, and it's the same as if you pressed letter K. Now I can animate. In here, we have the first key, and then I go to the end, and then I just do a little adjustments in here, like I rotate this leg a little bit, and then this one goes a little bit in. Let me just try to explain to you. What I'm going for is like, as if she was going to do this, right? Like, because she's going to land at some point. So the leg behind is going to start going in like this. Right? So I believe that's it. Let me see how that's looking. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Let me rotate a little bit more, and this one a little bit more too. Let's see. Yeah, I like it. And then this leg is going to start. I'm just going to pick this and bring it down a little bit like this. And then again, I'm gonna speed up this in fast forward just to save you a little bit of time. And then, let me see. Yeah, that works. Okay, so that's it. Very simple. Now I go back, and now I'm going to activate the camera, and we already had a little camera movement. I'm gonna play it. And that's it. That's it. Really easy. So you can see the animation process in Cartoon Animator is so easy, and it's so much fun because the hard part is getting the elements. Now, what if, hey, I don't have money to produce something, or I don't, well, don't worry, because you can go to the marketplace, and in the marketplace you can get all the assets for your animation, and then just follow this process, right? And you can do very simple animations with this. What I do recommend is telling a story using different shots, right? Some shots can be even shorter, but it's okay because it makes the whole scene exciting, right? I learned that like how much should shots last for? Like how do you know how long or how short? Well, I got that by watching references. So thus the 8 steps to do motion comics. First, golden inspiration, then the script, then the storyboard to visualize, then the audio just to bring all the sounds to life from the storyboard, then the animatic, that is you just put these two together, and during the storyboard phase I do the character design. In this case was done by Prescia. And then you start production. Every panel that you see in the storyboard has different elements, backgrounds and characters usually. So you just create all of those, and then you do the animation, you bring everything together like we did in here, and finally you put everything back together as explained in the free course on Movavi. All right, so that's it. Now we can go to Q&A.
And yeah, that's it. Can you guys hear me?
Looks like we're back in action.
Back in action.
All right. Yeah, cool. Thanks for that, Mark. Great presentation as always, doing the step-by-step for a scene. You know, sometimes I was just realizing when I watched that, sometimes it's actually not as complicated as you think it would be, right? Like once you know the steps, it's actually quite simple in the end. And Mark explained it really well for all of us. So hopefully you guys kind of learned a lot there. The process isn't too hard when you get down to it. But let's move into the Q&A then. So yeah, as always, if anyone has any questions, put your questions in the Q&A panel in Zoom there, and we will get to those right now. I guess I should mention as well, we always do have a weekly special that is going on in the content store. I've been asked to mention this. So if you go to the main content store website or webpage here, you can always find every week, come back, you'll find this weekly special here on the left. You can just click on, there's also freebies, by the way. I'm not even sure what the freebie is this month.
The screen, you're not sharing screen.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Good point. I kind of forgot about that.
And they put the link for the weekly special also in here.
Yeah, I think the team has already put a link in there into the chat window, but for anyone who missed it, we do have the main content store page as well. I was asked to mention this. And in the main content store page, if you go down here, there's a freebie and there is a weekly special. Always check back on these, you know. This one is specifically for iClone, but there's always Cartoon Animator ones here as well. So you know, if you can see, it's down from like $69 to $7. So it's always really well worth it to kind of check back in here once in a while and see if there's anything that's relevant to your particular project. Cool. Okay, a couple things in the chat window. Let's just go ahead and make sure you put your stuff in the Q&A window for the questions. All right, ready, Mark? Ready to start?
Ready.
All right. Deborah asks here, how can you show how to do a storyboard in iClone?
Ooh, that is super, so that is something that I haven't shared publicly yet, but that could be something maybe for a future webinar, a topic for a future webinar maybe.
Yeah, I think we have. I made a tutorial probably 4 or 5 years ago now that actually dealt with storyboards and iClone. If you can find it in the YouTube archive somewhere of our website or our YouTube channel, you can search storyboard iClone probably. What? Sorry.
I wanted to comment something really cool about iClone is that when I use Storyboarder, it's just flat, like just the image like that. But in iClone, you can also visualize a little bit of movement because it's an animation software. So you can think of it as a storyboard, but also use a tiny camera movement there or little animations, and it's amazing for visualization. I actually got the idea from the magazine article that you had on the movie The Replicas with Keanu
Oh,
Reeves.
replicas,
They
yeah,
use-
yeah.
How they use iClone for a storyboard, and I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and it's, I mean, there is specialized storyboard software out there that's actually, you know, quite good. But in terms of actually getting the visuals that you put onto the storyboard, iClone does an excellent job with that. And the reason why is because in iClone, it's so easy to just like move things around and get like all sorts of different camera angles. And it doesn't have to be like amazing. I mean, storyboards are just about kind of the outline, right? So you don't have to worry about the lighting and stuff like that. So you can like whip something up like that in iClone in minutes, really. And you can experiment with different angles and just kind of see, you know, work through your process how you like it. But yeah, Deborah, I think what we'll do is we'll probably have, because storyboarding itself is a whole complete topic. And I think it would be kind of difficult to go through it right now. We're going to try and get to as many questions as we can. But if you would like to see, as well as everyone else, if you'd like to see a webinar on storyboarding, I think we'd be happy that Mark would be an amazing guy to do that for you guys. He's the storyboarding pro here. So I think that's actually an interesting topic that we can discuss. If you guys want to have storyboarding as a topic in the near future, make sure you fill out that in the survey, and we'll definitely look into getting that for you. There's one more question from Deborah here. What is the difference between an animated comic and a cartoon? When I think of an animated comic, I think of those old superhero cartoons from the 50s. Mark, did you want to take that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I stop? Can you stop sharing the screen really quick?
You should be able to overtake me, right? Or like steal my screen? No?
No, it's actually, I'm gonna use my hands. So the thing is, the thing is, I feel like the power.
If I stop sharing my screen, I don't know if it matters really.
So
try it
the
again. I
thing-
think they might have.
No, actually, right now it worked. Right now I'm not gonna share the screen, but really
Okay.
quick, Deborah, the difference, there's like animated comic and then the animation, right? Animated comic, the animation part takes like this much. Very quick, very easy, very fast. Animation, you take more planning and more care, and so you take way more time on it. Does that make sense? So the difference is like in the quality is that you only need like slight lip sync and you don't need much movement. You just need a couple of drawings that are just held there, just like in the position, and that's it. And you don't move them. I don't need to rig the entire character to do, hey, you are going to die. No, it's like, you're gonna die. Right? I'm thinking exactly of the old superhero cartoons from the 1950s that you're mentioning in there, right? That's what you have in mind, and you just move it a little bit. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, and a lot of those old 50s and 60s cartoons. Like I remember watching the original Spider-Man cartoon when I was a kid, and they would just repeat the same animation over and over, just like have a different background, you know?
Chasing the bad guy.
Especially his running one. I'm not sure if anyone remembers that, but it was absolutely hilarious. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff reused in comics. Animated comics and yeah, cartoons definitely more expensive to produce a cartoon, I think, and
Yes.
much more comprehensive in terms of animation. Okay, well, hope that answered that for you, Deborah. Any clarification, you can always ask another question. How long would this project take if you did it on your own? I believe she's referring to your anime project.
Yes, great question. I can tell you, if everything was linear, the whole thing took around like, I believe like 2 months, but it was a lot of back and forth. If I did it on my own, let's say 4 hours a day, not full time, but half time, like maybe I come back from work and then I start working. I think I'm gonna work 1 hour, but it extends to 4 hours because I had so much fun. I think it would take because of the production cost of the details and the quality and all of that, I think it would be 2 to 3 months, actually. That's what I believe. Because the thing is, I took like a long time sometimes uh, getting with the artists who were helping Marcelo and Presha. And at some point, we held the project for a little bit and then pick it up. So I think if one person did it alone, it would also take like 2 months or 3 months. That's what I think.
Yeah, and that's like going through the whole process from like storyboarding to voicing and all that stuff. So there,
Everything,
yeah,
100%.
there's more work involved than just the animating for sure. The animating might almost be the easiest part in some ways, but
Yeah, actually, the animation is the like you prepare everything so you can now let's animate.
yeah. All right. We got a few more questions. One from Sarmad. I'm not able to access the plugin option. How do I get a 3D face tracker? So that's the face plugin, 2D facial mocap plugin for iClone,
Yes.
or sorry, for Cartoon Animator.
In here in the motion comic, I didn't use the 3D face tracker, but that's a separate plugin. Like I can.
Yeah, I didn't think you did. Yeah, I was trying to remember if, but yeah. So Sarmad, the 3D face plugin or 2D facial mocap plugin rather is a separate plugin that allows you to capture your facial, use facial mocap with either your webcam or an iPhone. And yeah, that is a separate purchase, unfortunately, but it's not much less expensive in Cartoon Animator. It is an iClone. All right, Robert Jackson. Mark, excellent presentation. Excelente, as you say in Mexico, right? I sent you an email. Okay, so Robert's asking about promo rigging CTA. You can read it too, right? The question.
It's for a promotion that we're having this week on the rigging. And so, okay, I will check that email, Robert. Ready.
Specifically for Mark's promotion stuff, so we don't have to go into it here too much. Next one's from Juan Jose Martinez Gutierrez. What's the maximum length of video that can be created in CT4? That's actually a good question.
I never extended here's the thing, Juan Jose. Whenever I get that question, I get to this idea that, okay, whoever is asking wants to create a whole movie in Cartoon Animator. Like if you're asking that, it's because probably you want 10-minute or something really big. As I mentioned at the end, I recommend instead you use a storyboard and use different shots because that's more entertaining for anyone to watch it. That's number one reason. Number two reason is less heavy on your computer because every file is like 10 seconds, 15 seconds of animation, right? And third, you have much more control over the whole project because if you have a 10-minute thing and you screw up on minute 5, everything else gets screwed. You screw up like 7 more minutes of your and then the file got corrupt or something and I didn't say now you have to start over. And because you have everything separated in the other option, you have more control and there's less chaos. That is just a recommendation from some of my experiences and some of my pain. My misery is your salvation. Hopefully it helps you. But I don't.
I absolutely concur with Mark there for sure. I mean, like what you said is exactly accurate. I can even say like for like even if I'm making like a 5-minute video or something, I'll often have more than 20 projects just for that 5-minute video. Just because you produce the scenes in Cartoon Animator, but it's much easier to kind of compose them together in like a video editing software, like I use Premiere, or some people use like Sony Vegas or something like that. Just export all those video files, and you can put them together, and you can use effects and add additional stuff in either After Effects or Premiere. I know there's free alternatives, but I've just been not up to date on that. Do you know any free alternatives for
video
After
editing?
Effects, maybe?
For After Effects, no, I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to find it. Maybe Blender has some stuff like that,
Blender,
but it's mostly 3D.
A lot of people in the community in our school mentioned they do some effects in Blender, but for video editing, DaVinci Resolve. And actually, DaVinci
Yeah,
Resolve
DaVinci Resolve,
has
that's a good one. Yeah,
it.
good point. Yeah, that's free. Yeah.
I haven't tested anything, but Geoffrey and Mike, are you recommending DaVinci Resolve for like After Effects for effects?
Something in the chat. DaVinci Resolve is more like Premiere, isn't it?
Filmora is also excellent, apparently. It's amazing. Okay, interesting. Hit film.
Oh, I didn't even see the chat
Thank
there.
you, guys. Very interesting.
Yeah, DaVinci Resolve, I remember using that, and it's actually not bad. Hit film has different tiers, Mike mentioned, but someone's at maybe Mark's door.
No,
But yeah.
lights. I was trying.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Yeah. Lots of good suggestions if you guys want some, free options in the chat there that, for some people, like the company pays for it. It's like, well, I don't really need to look for free, but I've kind of been out of the loop in that. But yeah, there's lots of good suggestions in the chat window there for sure. Shortcut Mark mentions as well. So encourage you guys to all just check out those suggestions there. Okay, so yeah, so to answer Juan's question in short, I mean, I'm not even sure the limit. Neither of us really know the limit, but we don't recommend trying to push the limit in any way, because the larger the project, the heavier it's going to be, the more chunky it's going to be when you're producing, which I don't recommend.
Yes.
Whaley asked, "Hey Mark, do you have time to show me an animated moonwalk?"
Yeah, I'm trying to get back to Zoom. There you go. Okay, so yes, Willie Chen. Okay, yes, actually, Dr. Chen. That's you, right? I think I've had calls with you. So Chen, yes, for the moonwalk, what I would do is first look for it in the marketplace, because probably you don't have to animate anything. Maybe it's already there. I haven't looked for it. But if it's not there, then what I would do is get like I could find a video on YouTube of someone, maybe Michael Jackson itself, when he was alive, doing the moonwalk, or someone doing it super pro, and then animate it using the, I'm going to share another webinar. Let me share my screen. I'm gonna share my screen right now. Share, very good. And now let me go to, I need to share. If you go to webinars, actually, let me go back to here. If you go to revolution.com and then you go to products and then you go to Cartoon Animator, you will find this part where it says learn. I go to learn and then webinars. And then in webinars, you will see this one. So Willie Chen, go to this one, stand out on animated videos with this and fun. In there, I explain how I did step-by-step the movement of a ballet dancer. You can follow the exact same steps, but for a moonwalk, all right? And it's a lot, this process is a ton of fun. Like it's as fun. I honestly consider it as fun as playing a video game. It's very, very cool. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. I did actually find a moonwalk. We don't have one in our marketplace, but Mixamo has one. So I just put the link in the chat window for you guys. Unfortunately, this is an animation for 3D characters, which can only be used in iClone. But I do want to also promote our Motion Link plugin. That actually allows you to take motions from our 3D motions from iClone and apply them to your 2D characters. So I put both of those links in a chat window for you guys if you want to take a look at them. Basically, the Motion Link is a plugin that there's some tutorials on our Learning Center about it. It allows you to apply 3D animations to your 2D characters. Now, of course, there's certain caveats, like a 3D motion won't necessarily apply or translate very well to a 2D character. But for ones like the moonwalk, where you're just simply going in a 2D plane, like he's not like twirling or anything. Like you couldn't do the twirl around Michael Jackson one. That would be a bit harder. But the moonwalk is going in one direction. You could apply that to your 2D character. And someone mentions the moonwalk is in. Oh, okay. I probably should have used that our content pack as opposed to a link for Mixamo, but who is that? I just scroll up here. Ramona actually put a link in the chat as well. There's a content pack as well that has a moonwalk in it. I believe that's maybe our 1980s dance content pack, but yeah, cool. So that's, I mean, you can use that as well. Moonwalk's not difficult to animate, but yeah, if you want to do it really fast, that's another way to do it. Ooh, Sovereign. Look at this. Look at that. Question for Sovereign. I noticed that the images in the production folder are 2 sizes. Is there a best size for Cartoon Animator 4 pipeline?
Honestly, not like best size. With HD, you should be able to do it. It's just like the way I work, I like to have everything much, much bigger. So if I'm moving from one computer to another, et cetera, and I transfer files, whenever I scale them down, they keep a lot of high quality. So at the very end, it's okay if you just take those big images and make them 2K. But I just like, because I used to work on a team, we would have always as a policy, have really big files that then you can shrink. So honestly, it would be 1920 by 1080. That would be like the best size, right? So
yeah, I mean, generally bigger is better in terms of resolution, because it's better to have a larger one that you can scale down rather than a smaller size that when you scale up, it distorts it and creates all sorts of blurriness and yeah, artifacts and whatnot. So bigger is better if you have the space and the bandwidth for sure. I think that's a simple answer to that question. Okay, a question from Ramona. How do we get our free resource packs that came with our CC4? They are in the content manager, but it keeps taking me to the buy now page. So Ramona, I think if that's happening, it may not be a free pack. If it takes you to the buy now page, generally, this is a, sorry, Mark, this is a cartoon or character creator 4 question. When you just, if you just double click it, it should download it. It shouldn't take you to a buy now page. So I'm not sure what's happening there, but you can always contact our customer support as well from the website, and they can easily guide you to whatever's happening, whatever the issue is with your license. Because I'm just thinking I'm not sure if you can do it. It should be available in the trial version. Don't hold me to that, but yeah, remote. I would encourage you to contact customer support for that, and they'd be able to give you a solid answer. Okay, question from Cheryl Brown. I'd love to know how you did the running sequence as well. Yeah, the running sequence, that's actually a very creative one, I think. Out of all those sequences, I think that's one of the most creative.
Yeah.
Do you want to kind of give an overview of that, Mark? Or?
I can give like a behind the scenes. That is probably one of the parts that took the most time. One of the things that I did is that I took a frame-by-frame course with Howard Wimshurst. He has like a traditional animation course, getting started into the animation, and he has actually a walking sequence in that angle. And I was like, originally, I was not going to have the running scene. I was just going to have the character like floating and then lines. You see that in anime a lot. But then when I took that course, I was like, why not? And then I tried it and it turned out it was looking okay. So now answering your question more specifically, I developed a technique where I don't have to invest years of drawing, but I do have to know how to draw. That's the only thing. If you want to do a running sequence like that, you have to know how to draw. If not, stay away from it. But what I did is I used a 3D model. I did a running sequence from this angle, which, by the way, I have another method now, which is much better, which is using iClone. I would just have an iClone character running like this, and then frame by frame, take some pictures, but from another angle, and then draw on top of it, and then draw the clothes. But I wouldn't be able to pull this off if I couldn't draw at least at a decent level. That's it. So yeah.
Yeah, because there's some
time.
perspective involved as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, I struggled so much doing that perspective thing. And if I was to do that again, I would do a much better job because I would just use Cartoon Animator, have sprites to do the changes of that animation, and have the character very far in 3D actually, because in Cartoon Animator you can just have it back and then get closer. For that parallax, I actually did it with like very small and then growing, which was very stupid. Now, like I didn't use the full power of Cartoon Animator. I would have done that if I was to do it now. I would do sprites and then and just have the sprites changing and animate the character in the Z-axis, moving like this, right?
Mhm. Yeah, you live, you learn, right?
Yeah.
you learn through experimentation, really, is what you kind of. That's a
screwing
good,
up.
very good example. Yeah, exactly. That's like honestly the way you learn the most is like screwing up. Honestly,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I could have like saved myself like 2 days of work on this. Okay, that was Cheryl Brown's question. Okay, thanks for the question, Cheryl. Jeffrey, I got a few motions to apply to a character, but some motions are one way. Is there a way to reverse a motion? Yes, there is. You got that? Yeah, there's
I
a
don't have
horizontal
Cartoon
flip.
Animator installed in this computer, but there's a button where you can just flip. And actually, what I can do is go to a part of the video where we see the interface, and I just point you to where the button is. How about that? Let me share
Sure,
this.
yeah.
Desktop 2. So let me just find this, and I need to move. I don't think you see it, but the chat and all those things are getting in the way. So let me just move them. Okay, so in here, let me find a part where when we see the interface there, where we start with the animation part. And it's okay. Like when you have a character, let's say that I have this character and I have a motion. Let me make this big. And I have a motion. You can just click this button and it flips it. It changed it literally. Is that easy? You just click there and then you flip the motion, right? I don't know if that's what you mean or if you mean having the motion in reverse. So like walking backwards. But if what you meant was to flip it, then this is the way you just click this button, right?
Yeah, that horizontal flip is basically like the main solution for most of that stuff. Not really much else to say there. So that's hopefully answers your question there, Jeffrey. And then mentions from Cat Diaries Hong Kong. I'm not sure, maybe that's your studio. You're familiar with Cat Diaries Hong Kong?
I have no.
Sounds like an interesting anime. Cat Diaries Hong Kong, following a bunch of cats wandering around Hong Kong. That's actually kind of a good idea, right? Anyway, Pavel, quick comments. Thanks a lot for this webinar. All well explained. And if I stuck around, I'll have no questions. All good. So good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Super, Pavel.
Muy bueno, he says in Spanish, I guess. Okay, so Mike Felker asks, on parallax, could you briefly describe the process?
On parallax.
Take that one?
For when we talk about parallax in Cartoon Animator, is just moving the camera, right? Now, what is parallax? Parallax means, I think that's what you are asking. Let me know in the chat. I'm reading the chat in here. But the thing is, parallax means that there are different planes, right, of depth, right? I can go from this side to this side, but now I can have an object in front of another, right? Now, if I take these two objects, right, and I move them, I'm from the top view, let me just show you. From the top view, they are staying exactly the same. I'm not doing this. One is not moving slow, like both of them are moving exactly the same like this, right? Now, if I do this, you can see that the objects that are far away move slower, right? And that has to do, actually, let me get something to draw really quick. I have my notebook right here. I can draw.
I think while Mark's searching for
Hey.
his prop there, you can even use something like the old Nintendo games like Super Mario Brothers. When you see Mario running
yes.
in the front, you can see the background moves slower. And that's because it's further away. That's
Yes.
kind of what we call a parallax effect. Yeah.
Exactly. And the reason why parallax works like that is because this would be like your eye from the top view, and what you see is something like this. This is your field of vision, right? So an object that is very far away and moves from there to here, you can see that it's inside our sight. But if that object gets closer, you can see that we're not gonna see it for most of the time, and we're only going to see a really big object because it's closer to us and it's going to move really fast, right? Like if both of these objects move like this, hopefully I'm not confusing you guys, but if these both objects move like this, you can see that they are farther away, and they, at the same time, they're still in our field of vision, like right here, right? I'm moving this whole distance, but if I do that same distance in here, look, it goes really fast, right? So
It's even like when you're on a road trip and you look down at the road, you're going like 100 kilometers an hour. You look down at the road, it's going so fast, and you look at the mountains, they're going by so slow. Yeah, that's basically parallax effect. Yeah.
Going super fast.
Yeah.
Right. So that's parallax. Hopefully that answered your question, Mike.
That should be good. Another question for Mike. Is there a way to make a mouth movement or phoneme catalog clips for multiple characters? Yeah, I believe you can save a library for phoneme clips. I've personally never done it because I've never found it a use for it. But I mean, if you're using multiple characters with the same unique kind of facial makeup or construction, that might be useful. But you can, Mike, to answer the question simply. Although I don't really.
I don't have a Cartoon Animator here, but if what you want is to save lip sync, like as motion clips, you just save it as a perform clip. And there actually Cartoon Animator has some where you put angry and then there you go. I don't remember what they say, but there's voice acting and there's lip sync and all of that.
I think he might be talking about the sprite library. Maybe Mike, you can
okay, a way to make
elaborate a bit, but that's what I got from it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Mike, if you can, we're also checking the chat, so if we can come back and forth. You mean the one that I used was so super simple for anime, like, and you're asking, okay, but how about Western animation where you have all the mouth phonemes? Okay, in that case, I would go into creating now a 360 head, so I can use advantage of the lip sync feature, right? That's what I would do, and just have the mouth. Usually, it's one trick that I do to save myself a lot of time is that I use a mouth from one of the templates. I get a character from Cartoon Animator that already has everything, and just take that mouth and pick the mouth that looks better with the drawing that I have. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's an easy way to do it for sure. Use the preset sprite libraries. Yeah.
Huge time saver.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next one then. Anyways, from Atika Yusri.
Ooh.
I have a question. Is it hard to animate the hair part so it moves along with the character when the wind blows? You want to take that one?
Oh, for that one, I would use bones, probably, depending on what type of animation. But if it was hair and I only wanted to do something like that, I would probably have the hair as a separate bone actor, and then have bones, and then put it behind the character, and then link it. When it's linked, when the head moves, the hair doesn't stay there floating, but they are linked. So now I would have the character running and then move the bones like that, right? But actually on Cartoon Animator 5 coming later this year, you're gonna have that automatically done for you. You just set a couple of physics and then the hair and tails or whatever you want moves automatically. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Agree with exactly everything Mark said, for sure.
What Mark said.
What he said. Nothing to add to that one. All right. Anonymous. It's always mysterious when we get anonymous attendees. Like they're watching us from the CIA or something. Is there a webinar or some training to just learn the use of the timeline? Yes, we have multiple tutorials that are exclusively about the timeline in our Learning Center. If you're not familiar with where the Learning Center is, I'm going to share my screen really quickly just so everyone knows, because this is important.
Yeah.
And a lot of people miss it because we recently kind of I don't know the word, renovated our site for Cartoon Animator.
Redesigned, yes.
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. There we go. So Cartoon Animator 4, every product that we offer has a learn menu at the top of the product page. So we're at the Cartoon Animator, you go to learn and you go to tutorials here. And then there are ones for the timeline. Specifically, timeline would probably be under motion editing, I believe. So all of these are related to the timeline in one way or another, because all motion editing is done via the timeline. In terms of a very basic introduction to the UI of the timeline, we have a getting started tutorial for every product. There's a getting started tutorial for Cartoon Animator as well. But anything to do with the timeline, you'll find in this motion editing one, because the timeline obviously is used exclusively for motion editing. So that should be the place to find anything timeline related. And it's organized by topic, inverter, facial animations, hand animations, etc. So hopefully that answered the question. I kind of just double clicked something and thanks at Mark. That's from sure. I was just looking at the chat window really quickly there. Yeah, Cyril Brown. Okay, so Anonymous, hopefully that helps you out. The Learning Center, easy to find, easy to access. And you can also go to the help menu from the application as well, and just that's a shortcut to get there. Yes. Another question from Anonymous: can you use the props and accessories from iClone in Cartoon Animator? No, you can't directly because they're different file formats. But what you can do is, if you really want to, you can capture a 2D image of your 3D prop in iClone, and then you can just import that to Cartoon Animator. But obviously, Cartoon Animator is an inherently 2D software, so most things are going to be on like 2D planes. There's no sort of like three-dimensional rotation. There is to an extent, but everything that you see is placed on 2D planes. So yeah, you can take a 2D capture of the prop and import it to Cartoon Animator. That's fine, but the file formats are going to be different. So there's no direct import pathway there. Another question from Sarma: can I get access to the 3D face tracker in a free trial? I believe so. Yeah, everything we have is a free trial. Now, with the free trial, the 3D motion capture is going to be limited. I believe you can't save the captures that you make, but you can test it out. I believe that's a limitation for the trial. So Sarmad, yes, you can do the free trial for facial mocap, but I don't believe you're able to save the captures that you do, which is a limitation. Another anonymous attendee. My process is script, audio, animate characters, DaVinci it together. Yeah, good point. That's a very good workflow to follow. You might want to post that in the chat window for other people, but I don't think regular users can see all the question and answers unless you're part of the panel, the elite panel that we are part of. Oh, another sovereign question. Can you import an icon asset into Cartoon Animator 4? Icon water, for example, or a building. I think that kind of ties into the last question we answered about icon assets being inherently 3D and Cartoon Animator assets always being a 2D plane. So you would need to import it in some sort of 2D format. To answer your question there, Sovereign. Yeah, you can't. There's no direct like file conversion from one to the next. Wheelie, great, many thanks.
Ready.
You know, Mark.
Okay, this is going more into the reverse, not reverse the direction of the character, but make the motion run backwards. Oh, okay. Then
So I think someone's asking, for elaboration on the flip.
the answer I gave
They want to
was
make it run backwards. Like I guess that would be the moonwalk, right?
yeah, but I don't know.
Or the moon run.
I don't know. Is there a way, Kai? I never tested doing a reverse. But if that was the case, the thing is, you can animate anything that is not in motion clip, and that is explained in the webinar referred to for the moonwalk. I would just have probably the first. Is there a way to do reverse motion clips, like run them
I
backward?
mean, if you the process would be first you horizontally flip and then you apply. Very important. First horizontally flip and then apply the motion. If you apply the motion first and then horizontally flip, you will get exactly what Anonymous here is mentioning. They will run backwards. If that's what you want, that's fine. But that's not what most people want, because normally like forward running animations, they're not going to look good when you make them run backwards. Like if I'm like if I'm running forward, for example, like there's a motion of me running forward, and I just suddenly like some unseen force pushes me backwards. It doesn't look real. It looks like some ghost is maybe pushing me backwards, just because the rhythm of the feet and the stepping and the pressure and everything will look totally off. So I mean, yeah, like I said, you can do the horizontal flip first, and then do the animation to apply it to the right direction. But if you do the horizontal flip afterwards, once the motion clip is already there in the timeline, then it'll be like a weird, I think, what anonymous attendee is asking.
And one thing that I believe, as let us know in the chat, but I believe is like, for example, if a character jumps, like he wants the motion to be in reverse, right, from here to here, but it's like moving the keyframes and doing this. So the end of the movement is it's because in After Effects you can do something like that. You can have something backward, right? I don't think there is that feature, but if that's what you needed, then what I would do is render it in normal and then take a video editor, running it backwards, and then animate it with the other technique that I teach, right?
Yeah, like in my head, there's a number of different ways you can do, I think, whatever they're talking about. There's various ways you can achieve the same result, but I'm not exactly sure what the desire is there. This needs to be. I probably need to see the project and see what they want to kind of.
I'm imagining like the one video from Coldplay, like Scientist, that everything is backward, like that guy.
Oh man, I remember that video. Yeah, it's.
So
probably.
Man,
Mark, we're pretty old, dude. Remembering Coldplay Scientist?
Yeah.
Was it like 2001?
Was one of my favorites. I saw it many times.
Maybe some other users here, attendees remember it. Okay, I think maybe Jeffrey somehow changed from anonymous to Jeffrey. I'm not sure. Yeah. Maybe you can fill us in there, Jeffrey, because Jeffrey has the same question, basically, just continuing on from the previous one. So hopefully we answered that for you to a satisfactory degree. If not, you can always get in contact with us later. But
it's a demo. Okay, this is Willie Chen, but I believe Willie, you were using the Q&A as the chat. Thanks, but when I purchased, I couldn't follow the demo. Okay. So
I
let's
think
move
this
on.
is about the moonwalk motion we were mentioning later or
Yes.
earlier. Sorry. Yeah. Various ways to do that. Honestly, you can even like animate a moonwalk yourself. All you really need to do is like 2 steps of animation, then you can just repeat it and blend it. Not too difficult to animate manually, actually. I can actually do the moonwalk. I learned in college. Yeah, along with the worm, the breakdancing
Ah,
moves. Yeah, that was
I kind
cool.
of was learning that one, but I gave up in it.
That's breakdancing 101 right there. With my old body, I probably can't do it anymore though. So, don't ask me to. I will never do that on a live webinar here. So embarrass
Too
myself.
bad.
Okay. Good question from an anonymous attendee, I guess. What's the difference between a motion and a perform? Do you want to answer? I can answer
Yeah.
that quickly.
Like between motion and perform, motion only covers movement animated with the motion key editor, and perform has everything, like even 360 head, even voice, even lip sync, everything. So
Yeah,
hopefully
to emphasize on that, motion is just for the body. Perform also includes facial animation as well.
and even sound, right? I believe.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So if you have like the motion you want to apply the same motion, but you want to apply different facial animations, then you would just save it as a motion for sure.
Ooh, this is a good question.
Yeah, it is that not bad. Yeah, it's actually kind of a intuitive question. Next one from Jack. Is there a way to have a 24 frames per second project in CTA? If not, will this function be available in CTA 5? Very good question. You kind of guessed it right there. Not really available in CTA 4, but will be available in CTA 5. We actually just added that in iClone as well. So generally anything that you'll see in iClone will be available later in Cartoon Animator.
Yes.
That's kind of the advantage of being familiar with both software is whatever new crazy shenanigans you see happening in iClone, you're like, oh, they're gonna have that in Cartoon Animator probably like in a version or two, so you can always look to the future.
Like the motion director, the motion director is so good in iClone.
Oh yeah, we're gonna we just had a motion director webinar. That was a couple weeks ago, and we'll probably have more in the future. There's certainly some tutorials coming out this Friday, I think, for motion directors. So if you're an iClone user, make sure you check out the YouTube channel every week. Ramona, recommendation or suggestion: religions should send out reminders about the courses, and don't tell me to put it in the forum. Yeah, I think that's our marketing team, I would imagine. How do they send out the reminders for the courses? Email mostly. I always get your emails. Countdown to the 2D animation 101. 5 minutes left. I just got that earlier today. But yeah, that's a good suggestion, Ramona, and the marketing team take note, I guess. They are watching this webinar very, very closely with their marketing ways. Like, marketing. Sorry. Next one's from Sovereign. Covered the second question. Okay. Joanne asks, how do you search content manager within the Cartoon Animator? Yeah, so Joanne, very good question. Unfortunately, our Cartoon Animator does not have the search function in the Cartoon Content Manager yet. So that is going to be coming in the next version, though. I've heard this question quite a few times. In iClone, we have a search function in the Cartoon Manager. If you have a lot of content, you need to find it. You need to search for it. Unfortunately, Cartoon Animator 4 does not have that functionality as of yet, but that'll be integrated into Cartoon Animator 5. So apologies everyone for the delay on that, but it is a very, very highly requested function, which will be included in the next version. You'll see the content manager change quite a bit. Okay, question from Jeffrey. There are a
Okay.
few requests for this feature in the forums. I mentioned possibly.
Okay.
Uh,
Believe it was used as chat. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this might have been a chat, accidental chat thing. So we'll just kind of ignore that for now. Sorry, Jeffrey, if it's an actual question. I think it's a response to another comment in the chat window, though. But question from Joanne: is it possible to have a tear run down a character's face, or would you do this via another application? The tear, probably another, or sorry, accessory.
Just another prop.
Yeah.
Maybe just another prop that you can animate separately.
Yeah, it'd be easy to do, for sure. Either as an accessory that you've already linked to your character's face, or just as a separate prop. I might follow Mark's suggestion and use a prop instead, just for more freedom.
That appears to be a comment.
Whaley learned a lot from this super webinar. Awesome.
Awesome, Whaley. Whaley. It's an anonymous tick button I clicked by accident, but thanks for the explanation. Awesome, Jeffrey.
All right. Well, as long as he has the explanation, we're okay. Ramona, good questions. Cartoon Animator 4 is new. Is Cartoon Animator 5 an upgrade for us, or do we have to buy again? So the way we do things, we don't offer subscription options right now. That's still an ongoing debate, but I think a lot of people will agree that subscription methods are kind of a little bit they're new and they may be a money grab in some ways. But anyways, that's a whole other debate. But Cartoon Animator 4, you'll get all the free versions for 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, etc. But with Cartoon Animator 5, you do need to pay a one-time upgrade fee for that. Now, if you already own Cartoon Animator 4, the price to upgrade to Cartoon Animator 5 is obviously cheaper than people who don't have even Cartoon Animator 4. So if you already have Cartoon Animator 4, you'll get a discounted price to upgrade. But that upgrade is going to last you, I think we have 2 or 3 years between versions. So you don't need to worry about that. And also, coming up to the launch of Cartoon Animator 5 later this year, we will have, pre-sale deals that are, honestly, the pre-sale deals are almost always the best deals. So I'd recommend checking those out. And that'll be Q4 this year. So be on the lookout for that. But no subscription stuff going on right now. You own it and you have it for like 3 years. So, and then this very small upgrade fee. Joanne Baker, thank you so much for your time and knowledge.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being here, Joanne. Appreciate your kind words. Okay, last question. Wow, we're like last question. Okay, Zachariah. Zachariah, I have a question. How can I merge 2D effects with 3D in the real world? For example, in Arcane, they have punch effects, or even when they're hand drawn. So yeah, I'm familiar with Arcane as well. That's the Netflix series, right? Yeah, I watched a few episodes of that. That's a very innovative, amazing animation in Arcane. I really appreciate the level of work they've done there.
I can take a crack at that.
Yeah.
The way that works, Zakaria, is exactly how they did the movie Roger Rabbit, or exactly how they do when they combine animation in real life. So in this case, you would have the 3D, and then you just frame by frame add the drawings for the special effects. And that is very interesting in Arcane that you mentioned, because it blew my mind. Like, the whole thing is in 3D, but the explosions and smoke, everything is 2D, and it looks very beautiful. So I would say the requirement for that would be to have like skills to do frame by frame or draw, or get some animated effects from the marketplace. I think, for example, Dex, he has really cool, he worked on Disney, and he has a ton of animated like explosions or water or splashes of water, stuff like that. Those are little effects that you can include in Cartoon Animator. So what I would probably do would be to probably have the footage and then put that thing, right? I would probably use export those effects from Dex, for example, in Cartoon Animator with a transparent background, and then use After Effects so I can cover stuff up if I need to, right, with masks and etc. But yeah,
Yeah, very,
hopefully
I
that
said it
answers.
better myself. I think the last question here is from Walter. It just came up about redrawing the eyes. I'm not sure the context of this question, but if there's an easier way to animate the eyes, I think is what Walter is asking. There's multiple ways to animate eyes depending on what you have. But yeah, it is a little bit tricky sometimes to put together the eyes, icon, because they are the most complicated part of your
Yes.
custom model for sure. There's
Yes,
masks involved and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a little bit tricky, but we do have tutorials on specifically on eye creation and stuff like that. But I'm trying to think if Cartoon Animator 5 has anything in terms of eyes that are. I'll have to get back to you on that, but I know that sometimes especially creating custom eyes in Cartoon Animator is a little tricky. But we're always working to improve the functionality and everything like that. So hey Mark, you know what? I think we have all the questions answered, buddy.
Woo!
Oh, there's
All right. We
yeah,
did it
we'll
again, Kai.
we'll see we have all the questions answered. So awesome. So I guess you know what, I'll just say thanks so much everyone here for being with us today. Thank you again, Mark, for an excellent presentation, and we will send out a link to you guys with the video that we just shared today, as well as all the resources and everything like that involved. Make sure you check that out. Make sure you fill out the survey and get your discount for the content store. And yeah, anything Mark you want to add there?
I think that's it.
You actually switched to my right side because I kind of clicked my thing the wrong way. So I was clicking around in Zoom. Okay, switching to the wrong side. So are you on my?
No,
am I pointing to you?
right now is sharing screen. So my setup is you are up and I'm here. I'm right now.
Oh, okay. Because for me, you're over here. So I was.
Okay, then hey.
Hey, there we go. Yeah, there you go. You got it. All right. Again, sorry for this cheesiness, guys, but thanks so much for being with us, as always. And wherever you are in the world, good evening, good morning, good night. And thanks again, Mark. And we'll see you in the next webinar. Thanks, guys.
Take care. Bye.